Hi, welcome to the show Nuggets with Naveen, a show to showcase innovative people, their innovations, and the impact it's creating. I'm sure it's going to inspire many. Today, we have William Miller, an innovation guru, and he believes that there is innovation in every one of us. He's also known and featured as one of those top 30 thought leaders in the world. So let's welcome William Miller. William, welcome.
Thank you.
And innovation is such a buzzword today.
Yes.
It's fantastic. But I also feel sometimes it's an abused word. Looks like they use it for anything and everything. At the same time, words like creativity, innovation, very interchangeably used. You are a guru. And do you think is there a difference between these of creativity and innovation? If so, what is it?
I have to confess, I used to use them interchangeably.
Oh.
If I go back 20 years, that's where, again, we think, well, when you're creating something, you're innovating. When you're innovative, you're creative. So we use them back and forth, but it's really, over time, become more clear that it's wise to make a distinction. And the distinction that we make is that creativity is coming up with those original novel ideas, but innovation is putting ideas to work and creating a benefit. So innovation actually produces something. You could be very creative but not innovative if you have lots of wonderful ideas, but creativity is required for innovation in that way. And innovation, there's so many different definitions of it. And the most traditional one, you would say, is to generate something that is new, it's novel, and that creates something for the bottom line. It's like a product innovation, a technology innovation. It's a lot of how people think of it. Sometimes also process innovation. And that's helpful in one way. That's what you see with a lot of the magazines, the most innovative companies. And yet, there is a broader definition that we like to use because it gets back to the theme of your introduction, that not everybody works on products or technologies. Does that mean only those people are innovative? No. And so a different way of defining innovation or being innovative is simply to do things that are new, better, or different.
Wow.
And creating a benefit from that.
That's
generating a benefit. And so every one of us has work in which there's something we have to do new or better or different. We're improving the quality of our work or whatever. And so even though that does apply to everything, that's actually what we want. Is because to let everybody know you are innovative anytime you do something new, better, or different. Now, Deborah, my wife and co-founder of VCI, also likes to think of innovation and being innovative as consciously and proactively creating your future.
Oh, fantastic.
Another way of thinking about what being innovative is all about. It's not just reacting, it's proactively and consciously helping to generate the future that you want. And that starts bringing in themes of the values and what inspires you and a lot of other things we can talk about here.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Very, very, I would say, enriching and at the same time inspiring, right? And I'm sure in your experience, that rich experience that you've had, you've also been associated with the Stanford Research Institute and been part of many innovative programs out there. So what was your work kind in that place, and what was that you were involved in?
Sure. Well, I was at the Stanford Research from 30 to 35 years ago, basically, back in the 80s. And the Research Institute is not the same as the university, by the way. It's a separate institution. It's a consulting, technology type of firm. And my job there was to, eventually, as I took over for my boss who retired, to run the innovation management program and do what we called innovation searches. And this was back to that focus of product and technology, of bringing together people from clients, whether it's DuPont or Toshiba or whoever, with the expertise. We had, I think, something like 110 different disciplines there, of engineering, science, chemistry, you name it. and bring them all together to find innovative solutions to the challenges that these companies would be having. What new product do we have? What new technology? And my job was to facilitate those experts to come together very quickly and really work together to collaborate to come up with solutions no one of them would have thought of on their own. And so that was the core of my work.
Okay.
And then during that time, I found that, sometimes the solutions we came up with were wonderful, but they didn't get planted well back in the companies. They didn't really blossom. So I became more interested in, well, how do you actually then enable cultures for innovation? And how do you get people to be able to adopt innovative ideas even if they weren't their own? Instead of the not invented here syndrome.
Okay.
So I had a whole other life there that started growing.
Okay. Wow. I'm sure with so much of exposure there, I'm curious to know, while you are a part of those programs which are very innovative, was there any new learnings that you had?
Yes, for sure. One of them came in a project with a company. I was working with what they call spun-bonded fibers. And during that, they were looking for new markets that they could take this particular technology and this kind of material that had fire-resistant properties, water barrier properties, electrical insulation properties. And we came together with about 20 of us for 3 days after about a month or two of preparation. And in the first day, we had 350 different ideas of what we could do with this in different businesses. Sounds like a good day, and yet I knew something was missing. And it was like we were being disciplined about generating ideas, but there was some heart and meaning that was missing. And so the next day I came in and I said, before we go into the regular agenda of the day, for our second day of generating ideas, I'd like every one of you to think about what is one thing in society that concerns you personally. That you talk about at dinner or at your church or temple or with your friends. And some people might be homelessness, or it might be poverty, or it might be starvation in the world. It could be drug addiction, those kinds of things. And I said, I would like each person to stand up and tell us for a minute or two what that is. Let's hear from each person. And when he did it, it was very moving, actually. I said, now that you've heard everybody, you may have felt an affinity with one or two or three people. I'd like you to form at tables with people that you felt kind of a camaraderie with, about their concerns and your concerns. And once they were all seated at the tables, I said, now, for the next hour and a half, we're going to work on how could this material contribute to solving that particular social issue that you're concerned about. And it was amazing that the energy of the room rose, the volume rose, the frequency of ideas rose, the engagement rose. People were now invested personally in finding a solution to something. It wasn't just because it was a good idea, it was because it was something they had a hard meaning to. And that taught me a lesson. It taught me that it's our deepest values that inspire us to be innovative, not just our brain. Now I started talking about not brainstorming, but heartstorming. And that we really said, well, what is going to be that foundation of values that really brings out the energetic best, which also plays out because, being innovative in a company is hard sometimes. You got a lot of resistance, or it's just, you have to gather resources and people and get them to buy into ideas and stuff. But you have to have some persistence, you have to have some energy, some initiative, something that's going to keep you going even in tough times. And it's tapping into that same source and wellspring of motivation and meaning. And I learned that when I was at SRI.
Wonderful. Maybe, is this the stimulation for you to really go ahead and create something called as value-centered innovation enablement services as your next phase in life in terms of creating an impact?
It is. In fact, when I left SRI, which is actually called SRI International, that's the official name for it. Stanford Research was its initial name. When I left there, I started a company called Global Creativity Corporation. That was my first company. And the tagline was called Putting Your Values to Work. Okay, that was like a little brand line. And I stayed with that. And then, after the turn of the millennium, my wife and I just realized there was another turn to take, which was to bring the values not as the tagline, but the melody line.
Oh, wow.
Because instead of the drum line and the beat line, it's the melody line. And to make that the name of the company, so we actually started a new company, Values-Centered Innovation, and to really make that the promise. And to say, and what was happening also is that, values were often taken as being like the soft stuff. This kind of humanistic, blah, blah, blah stuff. But we started realizing the research that we were having, the research that other companies were coming up with, was showing that those kinds of good character values, the ones that really inspire us to be our best, are actually the hard foundation of successful business. As an example, Great Places to Work Institute. From the 90s forward, they were doing what are the best companies to work for as the employees would rate them, not the managers. And not by benefits and salary, but by trustworthiness, by fairness, by pride in your work, by camaraderie, by these kinds of things. And those companies that were publicly traded, that were rated as the great places to work, consistently from one country to another, outgrow their competitors in terms of market value almost 2 to 1. So we were finding those values really pay off. And so value-centered innovation is not looking at innovation from the soft side, it's looking from that's the foundation for what you innovate and why you innovate and how you innovate.
Oh, wonderful. So what's the connection between values and innovation here?
The connection is what is going to bring out your very best. Your best energy, your best ideas, and your best effort. What's going to bring out that best from the inside out? Okay? It's going to be things like, what are your intentions? Where do you want to make a contribution? Where do you want to have an impact? Where do you want to make a difference? It's going to come from your sense of connection. Who do I want to serve? How do I want to be helpful? How do I want to make sure that no one is harmed by something? It's by the values of action. How can we be responsible? How can we keep our word and keep our promises here? How can we make wise use of resources? And so in fact, at VCI we've done research about these kinds of values of intention and connection and action. And these are what inspire us to reach deeper and to work harder to do the kinds of things in the world that really give us a sense of deep satisfaction and that therefore contributes to the world itself.
Oh, wow, fantastic. I think it's so important. It's just not about innovation, it has to be inspiring enough. Yeah, absolutely. How important is it in this challenging business context innovation is for corporates?
Well, it's interesting. I've recently read, continue to read actually, these global reports from PricewaterhouseCoopers, from KPMG, from BCG, from the Conference Board, from KPMG, and they interview sometimes 1,000, 1,500, in one case Deloitte 7,000 executives around the world, and ask them, what are your biggest challenges? And what are your strategic priorities for these? And the gist of all of that research from 2015 and 2016 is that the CEOs around the world are saying developing human capital, generating innovation, being customer-centric, having operational excellence, and sustainability. Those would be the top 5 challenges that they have. Now notice innovation typically ranks always in the top 3, sometimes number 2, number 1. And so it's essential to exist in this world, and the CEOs are seeing it everywhere, to have to be innovative. But it's not just innovative in products, and it's not just innovative in technologies. It's not just innovative in process and quality improvement, that's another realm. But it's being innovative in how do you acquire and lead your talent. When all the millennials are coming in and changing the workforce, how do you innovate the way you give them a work experience that's deeply satisfying and meaningful? How do you innovate business models? How do you innovate strategies and organizational design? How do you innovate the way you deal with customers and vendors and society and the environment and the academics and the government? How do you innovate your brand and innovate your marketing? Every aspect of the business has to be innovated. And so it gives room, everybody's got someplace to play there. And overall, that's the mandate, is to be innovative in all these different realms of how you run a business.
Wow, it's so true. And there's so many domains of innovation, so which is otherwise people would have thought it's just about coming with next new product.
Right.
So wonderful, that's very useful. If what you say, that innovation is in every one of us, is true, how do you bring it out?
You know, there's mindset, there's skills and behaviors, there's opportunities, and there's values. You know, the mindset is helping people realize you already are innovative. You know, once you see that in yourself, that's the first part of bringing it out. If you don't recognize it in yourself, then, well, what is there to do? So, for example, one of the things that we'll do in workshops is we'll ask people to pair up and think of a challenge they faced in the past where they had to do something new, better, or different, but didn't know how to do it, or what it was going to be. It was a challenge. They didn't have an answer to start with. And I said, now, make it a story or situation that you can tell us from start to finish how it turned out. And people tell the stories, but we give them 8 questions to tell their story by. And so they all tell a story. I mean, I've done this with bus drivers and school teachers and CEOs and executives, and you name it. Everyone has a story. And then I say, okay, now, when you listen to that person's story, what inspired you? What was inspiring or unique or different or creative about how they handled it? And very often they bring out character issues. You know, they were so persistent, or they were so able to get people involved or things. But then I say, now, you've all told a story about we're using 8 questions. And those 8 questions, by the way, are the innovation process. It's exactly how you not only do the past story, but how you do your future. And so you've all shown you're innovative. You've all experienced that your colleague is innovative. So now there's no doubt. There's another thing that we also tell people about that, is that if you look at the total quality loop that started in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where everyone down to the person on the manufacturing line was able, with given the skills and the education and the opportunity, they found ways to improve quality, and they could document the cost savings. You know, it was 10 cents per automobile times 5 million automobiles, that's $500,000 at the bottom line. Or it was a cost saving of $3 million because it made something more efficient. And from all of that, we proved every single person has the ability to be innovative when it comes to their job, to the process and quality of what they do. So now there's no doubt everyone can be innovative. Now we just have to turn it loose into all the other areas. And part of it is giving people that opportunity. You know, leaders need to really see that you may unleash creativity, and that can be chaotic, but if you unleash innovation, it gets focused because you're producing benefits. You know, and so unleash innovation, unleash the innovativeness, get people to take their creativity and create benefits out of that. You know, and in that way, you start bringing it all alive.
Wow, that was fantastic. No wonder that you were featured as one of the top 30 thought leaders in the world. And if you are able to see the potential of everyone is innovative, and if you are also committed to bring that innovativeness in everyone, which is there for the benefit for everyone else, it's just a fantastic mission that you're on. Thank you so much for sharing this. I also remember and kind of can relate very much, because you are a right example to a Zoe quote which says, being innovative is ordinary. Being innovative is ordinary. Innovating with human values is extraordinary. And you are an extraordinary person, and you are the Zoe, and you are a perfect example to this quote. Thank you so much for being on this show and sharing your thoughts on innovation and innovation enablement, and it is very inspiring.
Thank you for the opportunity, sincerely.